Here comes the number 3 tune.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Old World Tech Fridays.
Good evening. Good evening.
Trina, why you look different today? Doing something
Yeah, really
new?
tired. Really tired.
So Trina is absent at the moment. She might pop in at any given moment, so we'll see what happens with Trina. But for now, it is Ryan of Everything's Broken Garage and myself, Frodo Jedi. So, let's see. Trina, who's in the chat today?
Tonight we got Thomas Armstrong and Frank S., Curtis Boyle, Gareth Beagle, and Eric Rangel. That's about it.
Oh. Eric says he did a shout out to Trina today in his video.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. Even though you're a Romulan.
Trina's probably watching Eric's video right now. That's why she's not here. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, Garth, I'm having some internet issues, so my stream is
right. Trina's buffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Retro Tech reported Trina to the authorities.
That's where she is. Now all the truth is coming out. It all makes sense.
The government's coming. Government.
Yeah. We're here to help. We're here from the government.
Oh yeah, you forgot a dirty joke during the impression.
Oh,
that's why.
I could tell that joke I told earlier, but I don't think I don't think that would be good for us.
So yes, Old World Tech Friday -1 today. So let's see if Trina pops in later. So hello everyone, thank you for joining us this evening. We know you have other choices in fine entertainment, but we're glad you decided to come
especially on a Friday night.
That's right. When it's been a week of Mondays, we just tune into Old World Tech Friday.
So it's been a week of Groundhog Days.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm exhausted this week. It's been a long week.
Hi, exhausted. I'm Ryan.
So let's start with this day in tech history, I guess.
Oh.
March 16th.
Hold on.
I forgot.
There's no point in having branding if you don't use it.
I forgot. Thank you. So let's see. March 16th, 1995, the world's first wiki web gets its start as Ward Cunningham sends an email inviting people to add and edit content. Cunningham officially launches the wiki web 9 days later on March 25th. A wiki is a database that can be a community collaboration rather than doing it like a encyclopedia type style. You know, it's open for collaboration, kind of like, I guess Wikipedia would be a good example of one that's still used. Sure. March 16th, 1999, Mac OS X Server 1.0 is released. It was the very first version of Mac OS X available, as the desktop version would not be released until just over a year later on March 24th, 2001. It was actually derived from Next Step technology that Apple acquired during its purchase. So that's pretty cool. March 17th, 1958, the American satellite Vanguard 1 is launched. It's about the size of a grapefruit. The Vanguard 1 was the second American satellite launched and fourth man-made object in Earth orbit, following Sputnik 1, Sputnik 2, and Explorer 1. It was the first satellite, however, to have solar power. So that's kind of neat. Let's see, March 17th, 1988, Apple sues Microsoft for copyright infringement. in its Windows operating system. March 18th in 1931, the first practical electric razor. Jacob Schick's second commercial design of an electric razor goes on sale. His first attempt, which went on sale in 1929, was an awkward design with an electric motor connected by a cable to a shaving head. Not surprisingly, that model didn't sell very well. Schick had to mortgage his home to keep his company going. This new version put the motor inside the shaving head, making it much more convenient, even though it went on sale during the Great Depression. Schick managed to sell 3,000 units that year at $25 each, close to $400 in today's money a piece, and 1.5 million by 1937, creating the electric razor industry. Well, let's see. March 18th, 1974, Atari introduces Grand Track 10, its first arcade game to use solid-state read-only memory, or ROM, to store sprites for each car, the game timer, the racetrack, and the score. As such, it's the first game to have defined characters rather than mathematically manipulated dots. The game's controls, which include a four-person gear shifter, four-position gear shifter, a steering wheel, 2 foot pedals are also all first for arcade games at that time. March 19th, 1932, Sydney Harbor Bridge opens. The Sydney Harbor Bridge, the first to open to traffic, nicknamed the Coat Hanger because of its arch design, spans 503 meters across Sydney Harbor and is the world's tallest steel arch bridge. Let's see. March 19th, 1986, IBM.com and Sun.com are registered. They are considered the 11th and 12th oldest domains in history. March 20th, 1800, Alessandro Volta sends a letter to Joseph Banks, president of the Royal Society of London, describing his electric pile. This was the first device that could form a steady flow of electricity, now recognized as the first practical battery, later called the Voltac pile. Interesting. The only reason why he even created the device was to prove an Italian scientist wrong.
I love those spite inventions.
That's right. Last one, March 20th, 2005, Yahoo acquires Flickr. Yahoo acquires the company Ludicorp along with its popular photo sharing site Flickr. Later in June 2017, Verizon purchases Yahoo, and then April of 2018, SmugMug bought Flickr. It was reported in 2011 that Flickr hosted 6 billion photographs. That's quite a lot of photographs.
It is.
Interesting. And that's the state.
Does anybody use Flickr anymore?
No, I haven't seen anyone use it in quite some time. I didn't even know it was still around. It might not be. I don't know.
It is. I've only time I've ever used it was when I had to send a large quantity of photos to somebody or to a large group of people.
You just dump it.
It was the fastest way at the time.
Yeah.
But then they instituted something like you can only have 150 photos on a free account, and that's when I stopped using it.
Yeah. Retro Fox says he updated his gallery the other day. Or her.
Oh, perfect.
I don't know.
There. Let's say there.
Indeed. So, Ryan, what's going on in your world?
Apparently, Thomas Armstrong has piles.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Do they produce electricity?
Oh, Retro Fox is
apparently
there you go. Thank you.
And Zodium apparently still uses Flickr.
There you go.
Now you know. Cool. What's going on in my world? Jeremy's here. Piles of what? Curtis Boyle? I don't want to know either.
That's true. We all have piles of things.
Yes. There's
no power though.
It's all sort of closing in on me in here. Today was a pretty good day. This week's been pretty good. We've somewhat have seen a bit of a spring thaw, so the snow is melting, and the ground is appearing again. Probably only to be covered up with snow again later this week.
It was 19 Fahrenheit here this morning. It was
what's
chilly.
That in? What was that in proper?
Yeah.
So minus 10 degrees.
So minus 7.2 Celsius.
Okay.
It was chilly.
Yeah.
The wind made it worse.
Retrotech wants to know, when do Trina's replacement auditions happen?
Yeah, at the end of the episode. See if she doesn't show up.
We invite everybody on, and we choose in next week's replacement for Trina.
And then we do our chant.
But
one of us. One of us.
One of us. And then you get your complimentary Commodore pet.
That's true. Or your Commodore phone. You get to choose between the two.
You get to choose between the two, yeah. One of the two, yeah.
One of the two.
Brian, the computers move closer every time you look away. I know, they're like the angels from Doctor Who.
Don't look back.
Don't look back. Don't breathe. Don't move. Run. Yeah, so we had a pretty good week. It was quiet here, but there was a lot of work. I finished off 3 or 4 websites, so that was kept me pretty busy this week. Or 2 or 3 websites, I should say. I bought a mini split today. That's sort of techie related. I was showing Frank earlier. Hey, Joe's here. Hey, Joe.
Joe pooped.
I bought a mini split, so I'm going to I might do a video of actually installing it, because it's not as complicated as you think it is. So
that'd be a good one to watch, because I plan on getting one for here.
Yeah. And the hope is to get 2 more down the road, another one for the house and another one for in the garage here, so that I can have air conditioning in the summertime. Because it's pretty hot in here, and when you're working on cars on concrete, it tends to sweat, and it gets pretty gross. So, and I tend to sweat and get pretty gross. So myself and the concrete floor have a lot in common. Anyway, today was kind of a fun day though at work. I was given the opportunity to represent the school as a judge for the regional science fair. So I got to see some kids present, some kids from all over the city. Present. Javier's here. Hello, Javier. Present their scientific endeavors. Lots of stand-up great projects. We had one project was dedicated to firewood and how to best dry it, which obviously I'm a big firewood guy, so that was kind of fun to have a chat with the young gentleman about his passion for firewood and what the best optimal way to dry it was. We also had a really cool project done by a student where they used an iPhone because Newfoundland has so many rural areas. The ability for an optometrist or an ophthalmologist to see people's eyes is very difficult sometimes. So this student had developed a process to use your iPhone to take proper medical grade imaging of your eyeball to be able to be sent to an ophthalmologist to be, diagnosed for diseases and stuff. They actually created a really cool cover to go over the flash of an iPhone that allowed only a certain amount of optimal light to go through, so that the flash wouldn't blow out your eye, and it would give all the detail they need. So it's pretty cool. I thought that was a pretty neat thing. So my hope is that next year they continue on with the project, and that next year they develop an app that kind of encapsulates all of it, instead of using the built-in iPhone camera app, to actually develop an application that steps people through how to do it, and using some AI, maybe tell them that the picture is good or the picture is bad, and then even offer diagnostic abilities using AI for the doctor on the other end to say, hey, this AI found these 5 or 6 things, maybe you need to look at them.
That's pretty neat.
So some cool stuff like that. I thought it was pretty neat, and like they pointed out, a slit light, which is what the ophthalmologists use, are $70,000.
Oh,
an iPhone, most people have in their pocket. So for like a diagnostic tool, it was kind of like I said to her after, and I don't know if she got the joke or understood it. I'm like, we're getting very close to to like tricorders. Like in my mind, that's like a medical tricorder, right? Like we're using an iPhone to do cool medical stuff. So it was really neat. I'm very excited to see where that project goes, and I wish the young girl all the best. I'm sure she's not watching this, but again, I wish her all the best, and it was a fantastic project. So it was a very exciting day, and one of the cool things is it was in the new science building at our university here. I haven't been there yet, but in the main atrium where they had the science fair, above us, about 75, maybe 100 feet above us, suspended in the air is the skeleton of a blue whale. And the thing is massive. I didn't realize how large blue whales are. I mean, they are the largest creature on the earth, but this thing was gargantuan. And so that made me kind of terrified when I thought about, like, Megalodon was about the same size. So a shark about this size would be absolutely terrifying. So it was cool to see the skeleton, and they actually found it. It washed up on the shores maybe about 15 years ago, and they had to bury it for 10 years to let it decay. And then even when they brought it back out of being buried, it still wasn't decayed. So they had to clean every bone individually to assemble it. And it was a labor of love. But there's a lot of universities apparently now, especially science departments, that have blue whales specifically suspended in their atriums because when they wash up, there's such a...
Can't they put it in the ultrasonic ocean? Just give it a good
I figured we just need a really... Vivor just needs to make a really big ultrasonic cleaner,
ultrasonic
right?
cleaner.
Like, you know, you got your 30 liter, which is pretty large, but I want one that I can put a blue whale in.
That's right.
Right. So
call up their support line and ask them. Yeah, I've got a special
you know
project.
What? I'm just gonna get Bruce to build one because he's built one at home before, Brackets Creations. Right. So I'll just get him to build me a blue whale cleaning ultrasonic bath.
Somehow, before I watched that video that he did, I just pictured in my mind like a 55-gallon metal drum, and then like rigging it up somehow to make an ultrasonic cleaner out of it. Yeah. I imagine you probably could with like a turkey, like a roaster.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you could do it. Well, I mean, Bruce's build was in a steel wash tub, which is fairly large. So I mean, if you cut a 45-gallon drum on its side or a 55-gallon drum on its side, and like used it lengthwise, I mean that's a fairly large. You could connect your ultrasonic emitters around the outside of it too. Nothing stopping you to do that.
That's true.
Right. Anyway, I thought it was pretty cool, and it was a great day at the science fair. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to going back next year and judging some more science. They did. They seem to have a blast, and they. It's interesting to see the different like levels. So like I was doing grade 7 and 8 students.
Mm-hmm.
And then you like look across. I didn't do any high school, but you could look across, see the high school, and like the difference between the 7 and 8 projects and the high school projects. It's amazing how far some of those kids come in 4 years, right? In 5 years. So it's pretty neat. I'm excited for them. And like I said, the iPhone and of course the project was called iPhone, EYEPHONE. I was like, and there was like 4 puns in the project, which just made me very happy. There were like I puns everywhere, which just I was like, that's awesome. We need more iPuns. Anyway, so that's what happened this week for me in my job and sort of tech related. Let's see what's going on in the world of tech, though. Let me just queue up our modern tech news. So, what happened this week in tech news? Hey, Rudy, how's it going? Sort of north of the border, so here in Canada, Bell decided to lay off a pile of workers again. After having shed a pile of workers previously, they decided to shed some more. So it seems as though these might have been workers that were brought on during the pandemic to sort of fulfill the need of installation of internet at homes, and then this tech support related to more people working from home. But telecom is a race to the bottom. It's whoever's cheapest, fastest, quickest. So, in Canada, we only really have 3 major options: Bell, TELUS, and Rogers. and then a couple,
Yep.
each region sort of has some regional smaller telecos. But for the most part, it's an oligopoly. It's it's the big three, and they run the board and they play the game. So Bell, they had a major issue there a couple of weeks ago where they laid off a pile of news reporters and actually started to de-regionalize the Bell Media News or the Bell News Media system. So instead of having regionalized news, they were just going to have more of a national news with more hub based. So instead of being like bespoke regional, like say Rochester, New York, it would just be upstate New York. So they were removing sort of the very small focused regional news, which is kind of sad because I'll be honest, most of the time I don't care what happens elsewhere in my province. I want to know what's happening in my hometown. And the same thing, I'm sure, Rochester, New York probably doesn't care if upstate New York is whatever they're doing, right?
Yeah.
As an example. So they got kind of in trouble for that, and I think these are some of the same layoffs that were continuing from that original layoff from City TV and from Global News. Anyway, what else happened this week? Well, it looks like our old friend Apple is got another antitrust lawsuit. Looks like the United States Department of Justice has filed another antitrust lawsuit against Apple, specifically to do with their. I just hold on, my text just moved. Where'd it go? It was just here. It's gone. Where did it go? All right, hold on. I'll find out why. I'm sure somebody's already saying it in the chat.
They were talking about pricing on cell phones, and they were talking about
it's for the, and that's what I thought about it. It's for the they're illegally monopolizing the smartphone market. So, it's just Apple being big and everybody else being small. So that's interesting to see. The Department of Justice Thursday announced a sweeping antitrust lawsuit against Apple, accusing the tech giant of engineering an illegal monopoly in smartphone that boxes out competitors, stifles innovations, prices artificially high. Wow, that sounds oddly familiar. When do I remember a similar antitrust lawsuit from, say, 2000 against, say, a provider of internet browsers, operating systems? Sounds very Microsoft. The lawsuit was filed in court in New Jersey and alleged that the smartphone maker had a monopoly on the market, leveraged its control over the iPhone to engage in a broad and illegal course of conduct. So
I had heard the Justice Department's speech about it, and one thing I thought was interesting is they said the facts they were listing said that Apple had 70% market share on cell phones.
Sounds about right.
And I thought it would probably a little bit less than that, to be honest. But a lot of the comments that they said, I mean, I can agree with, but I feel like they're rationalized, though. Like, one of the things they were saying is obviously about they have the major market share on the cell phone, but it's people choose to buy that over the Android phone. I mean, people really don't make other ones. Microsoft made one. It was a piece of shit, and it didn't work out. Like, that's just how companies work. Like BlackBerry, same thing. The problem with BlackBerry, and I loved BlackBerry. I had a lot of BlackBerry phones, but the problem was they didn't really innovate. It was the same thing over and over. There was nothing really new.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I think it's more to do with the fact that like Apple locks in, and it should be, at least in my mind, locks in their ecosystem. I mean, that's what the EU just sued them for, filed a lawsuit against them, or won a lawsuit, I should say, against them. The idea of opening third-party Apple or app stores, right? Like the ability for people to be able to have their own microtransactions inside their app that Apple doesn't get a cut of.
But that's the biggest selling point for me is like I have a iPhone, I have the AirPods,
it's a walled garden.
I've got oh shit, my mind's gone. The iPad, I've got the MacBook. I've got the Studio. Like all my stuff is like I don't have to replicate anything. It's
homogeneous.
all there.
Yeah, it's
Doesn't
homogeneous.
matter which device I grab. Like all my stuff's there.
Yeah.
So I like that,
Yeah.
and I think that a lot of people also like it.
Sure.
You know, for that. So
and I use a blend of Google and Microsoft to achieve the same thing.
Sure.
Right, like there are other options out there, but you're right. Apple does do a very good job of making the ecosystem work.
Yeah.
Well enough.
And I think that
now when iCloud goes off the rails, it can be terrible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think the argument can be made to some extent. Now I agree that I think they should open it up more to other developers and other apps and things should be But I do think that if you're going to have an ecosystem where everything works together, then you have to police it a little bit to keep it to work that way. So, I mean, I get it to some extent of being picky, but other things, I could see both points.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. I just think that, like, they are just the one that seems to do it the best. So that's why they're as popular as they are. I mean, there's not to say that another company couldn't come out with something, but I think that it's difficult. And then what are you going to do as far as antitrust goes on, like the cell phone? I mean, you're not going to sway people's choice on what they buy. You can't break up the company and say that, they make.
Well, they could break up the company, but they could break up the company. I mean, there was even talks of, Microsoft needing to be broken up again, especially during the Blizzard Activision purchase.
Oh, sure.
Because they've become too big, right? Yeah. There was talks of spinning off Xbox. Well, maybe Apple needs to spin off, But again, then you lose the interoperability. You lose the if they're two separate companies. If iPhone becomes its own thing, or if the desktop laptop market gets cleaved off, and then you have iPad, iPhone, and everything else on the other side. Well, then you basically ruined.
I think. So part of this, the whole thing is pretty complex, but I think the biggest move that Apple made as far as going to silicon-based systems is that the operating system itself, no matter what device you on, is essentially the same at the base.
Well, that's the whole point. There's going to be a point not too distant in the future where iOS and OS X merge. Right, like they will be one operating system, and it will not be any different between the two.
Yeah.
Right. You'll have a desktop version, I guess, which will probably be very similar to what we're used to, but the underpinning will be, the exact same. And that way, you can develop a single app that will work across all, which they do somewhat now, which will work across all the.
That's the overall goal, because they want it to be like one system. To where you're not developing an app for the iPad, you're not developing an app for the phone. It's an app, and then that's it. Yeah. So I do think that is a good goal. As far as they are moving to that, which is, I think that's fantastic. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, and I just want to point out. So Curtis Boyle said, Ryan, you mentioned that you use Microsoft and Google to do the same thing. So is it a monopoly then? Well, it is not for me, because I don't use iPhone. I'm on Android. So I have the ability to use third-party cloud-based backups that integrate fully into my phone. Whereas on the iPhone, you can use OneDrive and you can use Google Drive, but they're not as integrated into the operating system experience that you get with iCloud, right?
Yeah. So I think at some point, like Richard Checky just said, WatchOS should run on a Mac as its OS as well. But I really think that there's some truth in that, though, to the fact that it's going to eventually just being Apple OS, not Mac OS, not iOS, not anything. It's just going to be Apple OS, to where it's all the same, no matter what device you have.
And, we know Microsoft is basically has confirmed that they've created their own. Well, not even created their own, but they've made Windows 11 for ARM, and that it works, and that it's going to be mainstream, and that they're working with what's it called to make chips? What's the Taiwanese
TSMC?
Not Taiwan. Yeah, that's them. To make,
So
the surface is going ARM. So once one surface goes ARM, then everything else is
So
going to follow. x86 days are numbered to
100%.
some extent for certain applications, for sure.
Now, I do agree with the Justice Department in the fact that essentially there isn't any motivation for innovation at this point. Because with the iPhone, even the last couple models, I don't know that my phone, I mean, other than the specs as far as tech specs and all that kind of stuff is a little bit different. But as far as the phone itself goes, there really isn't any difference that me as a daily user notices. So I think that when you're in a position like Apple, where you're as large as you are and you have that 70% market share, I mean, you could essentially say that this 15 is now a 16 and people would buy it the same. Like, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
So
and that's why I think you can get away with buying. You don't have to buy the next, like, Apple will tell you you need to buy the next greatest Apple, but you can get away with having a 5-year-old iPhone, and it's still fine. This
15 doesn't do anything different than my 14 did, that I've noticed as a normal user. But I think that their motivation to do something different is definitely a lot less. Knowing that they could essentially wrap a turd in the Apple box and sell it,
Right. And I think like we said, the EU went after them for their antitrust, like how they do their app stores, which is very what's the word, predatorial towards developers.
Sure.
Like the fact that you have to have so many million transactions before you even get considered for a discount, and you have to have so many, and the Apple gets up to like 30 to up to 50% in some cases of the cost of a sale.
I feel like that's extremely greedy for a company that makes as much money as they do. It's not that they need it.
Well, they already made the money on the device. They've already made the money on other apps that they own. And now they're going to tell you that, oh, and by the way, they own the payment gateway that does the credit card
you have
transactions.
To use our payment gateway. Yeah.
Right. So like
I think that's BS.
Triple and quadruple dipping, right?
Yep. I think so too. I really think that they should be held accountable for that, because I personally think that's BS, so that doesn't help anybody. And Apple doesn't need the extra money. They just don't. They would be just fine without trying to rip everybody off.
Like I've developed a couple of apps for the school that I work at, and getting them on the Android store took me maybe a day or two. Getting them on the Apple store, that was weeks, if not months.
Oh yeah,
because they had to be approved, and then we had to apply for exactly. Netflix, basically half of Netflix or like a quarter of the Netflix subscription goes to Apple.
Yeah.
If you register for the subscription on the iPhone or on the iPad, right?
Yeah, I think that stuff like that is just stupid.
Which I think might be half the reason why they didn't make a Netflix Vision Pro app, because I think it might be Netflix is like, no, we're good. We don't need more of our money taken.
Oh, so I have a different topic. Try to move on to something else here. Did you see that new? What the hell is it called? the new Elon Musk thing, the chip they put in that guy's head.
Oh yeah, the bio,
Neuralink,
whatever they're called. Neuralink, that's it. Yeah, Neuralink.
Yeah. I don't know, because to me, I was watching the demo that the guy was doing where he was playing, chess or something on the computer, or moving stuff. And he's explaining it, and he says, I just think about it, and the cursor goes where I want it to. It's kind of like using the Force. And I thought it was cool, and I thought it was neat. But I don't know that the thing does anything different than the eye tracker does, like on the Apple Vision or anything like that, where you don't have to have surgery to use it. I feel like eye trackers do the same thing as that does to the,
but it's the first example of something, right? Like, so it's going to be,
well, it's not the first, because there's other companies that do something similar.
No, but it's the first, I guess. It's the first time a tech bro has decided that he's going to, throw a pile of money at it and see what sticks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they call it threads, the things that they actually connect into your brain.
Yeah.
And what was it? Reuters put out a report that they went through over 1,500 animal test subjects trying to get this to work. And the surgery has to be performed by a robot because doctors' hands are not steady enough to actually do the surgery correctly.
Right.
So you go under surgery with a robot. Like the doctor doesn't control the robot. The robot does the whole thing by itself on autopilot. So I mean, there's just too many variables for me on this one. Like, I mean, I can understand where if you were a paraplegic or quadriplegic or anything like that, I can understand you wanting to do it. But to me, like I said, I feel like, I think it's pretty cool. But at the same time, like I said, an eye tracker, I feel like does something extremely similar where this doesn't seem to do much more than what that could do. And that it would probably be, I mean, obviously it's a lot less invasive because you can less invasive, just put it on and do it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like even cost, it's got to be a heck of a lot less to do something like the eye tracker.
Right, but it's like anything. It's like a proof of concept, right? The first thing is going to cost a fortune, and the whole idea is somebody's got to figure it out. So
they're open for volunteers now.
That's good. I'll wait until Sky. I don't want Skynet installed in my brain.
But yeah. Well, that was my thinking too. Is let's say with all the talk of nuclear war and things like that, with everything going on, not to get political, but let's say an EMP goes off, like your chip just got fried in your brain. Like I don't know. I think there's too many variables. Not to mention that you charge.
I'm not walking around with a Faraday. Yeah, I'm not walking around with a Faraday cage on my head.
Cage over your head. But what's interesting to me is so they actually put it into your skull, and it's got conductive charging. So like the MagSafe thingy for like the thing. But those get warm. If you've ever touched it when it does that charging, like inductive charging.
Yeah, it gets hot.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing just I don't know. I don't like it.
Speaking of tech bros, what do you get the tech bro that has everything?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what you get them. You get the brand new TCL X11H, the new TV that was recently unveiled by TCL. It has I can't believe I'm saying this. It does peak brightness levels of 6,500 nits, so it will literally burn your retinas out. It goes up to 98 inches for a television. Like, why you need a TV that big? And it has, this is quite impressive, it has 14,112 mini LED dimming zones.
Holy cow.
So, like, that's an impressive television. I'm interested to see some of the other specs on the actual like resolution and the how many hertz it is.
Kind of reminds me of the LTT episode they did not long ago with that giant TV he got imported.
That's my point. Is like, tech bros. Yeah.
Well, my thing is like, everything. When you have a TV that large, you almost have to have an auditorium to actually have the optimal viewing for it. You've got to be like way back.
Oh, 100%.
To actually properly enjoy watching something. So it wouldn't be practical.
Yeah. No.
So that's...
what else do we have going on in the world? MacBook announced, or Apple, I should say, speaking of Apple, have announced a new 13 and 15-inch version of the Air. Apparently, they're going to have the M3 chip in it. I don't know if they mean the M3 Ultra, but the M3 is going to be in it.
Rudy. I like my Apple 3 monitor resolution.
Apple 3 resolution. Was it 220 by 180? And damn it if I'm going to go any larger.
That's another one in tech news. Global Talk. I think that that new project that's been going on with the Macintosh, in the Macintosh community with the Global Talk, I think that is so neat. That is extremely neat.
Oh man, I've been enjoying it thoroughly.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't hooked mine up yet. I did pull out a new out of the box laser printer, Apple Laser Writer.
Oh, nice,
that I got that I pulled out to hook up to it. So I just got to get that set up and working. But I think it's neat. I think the whole idea is just neat.
I've killed 4 computers using Global Talk. Global Talk has killed 4 of my computers.
I just
I've
think
gone through 3.
I just think it's kind of like being on an old BBS, like you can go and hang out and check their files, check for new things.
That's what I said.
Print stuff.
It reminds me of like when I come home after school when I was in like junior high and elementary, junior high.
You were excited to go.
You run home, you check into like ICQ or MSN Messenger, or you hit the bulletin boards. You see what files were available. You dial up.
I'm just waiting on the instant messaging feature so that we can all type in ASL again. When we chat with people.
Apparently, Gareth Beagle says it's because I've left computers on running for days. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize computers couldn't be on for days. No, I do have a recapping marathon in my future. I have about 4 compact Macs that need to be put back together and recapped, both analog and motherboards or logic boards. And I have my Macintosh project, which hopefully gets finished on when a package arrives this week from Frank, is this lovely PowerBook 150.
Oh, it's nice. I like that.
That was sent to us by Trina. It's in really, really nice shape. Look, it's not even cracked around the port, any of the ports. I drop it now and it breaks.
Joe's Pumpkintosh SE30 has been running continuously for 10 days. It's perfectly fine.
Now, in fairness to Joe, you've done a lot to keep that that is like Lazarus. You've resurrected it and fixed it and made it awesome and put it in a cool case. I literally just dragged mine out of storage and gave them power and said, "That's true. We'll see what happens."
Now, with power comes great responsibility. And they shit the bed.
Anyway, I know, like, my Color Classic died. The power supply, I think, isn't bad in it because it's got that common. I don't know if it's power supply or if it's the analog board, but you have to leave it plugged in for like a day before it builds up enough power in the capacitors to actually turn on.
Oh my gosh! Is that the one that you picked up from the auction not long ago? Your birthday?
Yeah. For my birthday, and I paid way too much money for it. I don't want to talk about it.
Frank guess my LC3 has been off for days with no problems.
All my LCs are stacked one on top of each other. I've made an LC like tower in my retro room.
It's like people
which hopefully this time next week. Right. Hopefully this time next week I will actually be back in my retro room, all set up again with a new counter, a new desk. So looking forward. So yeah. Frank, is there anything else you want to talk about before we say goodnight to our lovely folks?
I did make more progress here in the shed.
Yep.
I did get, so this week I got all these storage containers. They're under all these counters here, including this middle island. I was telling Joe the other day, our Walmart here had a clearance on them. So
oh yes,
they had the thinner looking bins here for $7 a piece. And then they had the wider ones for $10 a piece. So, like, I made 3 trips to Walmart.
You bought them all. That's what you're saying.
Yes, I bought all the ones that I could. Yeah, they had them all. Yeah. But yeah, that's dirt cheap for storage. So, I put a larger heater back there on the wall, so it's much more comfortable in here. I've got a T-shirt on and stuff, and it's like 20 outside. So, it's definitely nice and toasty in here. So yeah, awesome. A lot of progress. Things are coming along pretty nicely out here, so getting things set up.
Good deal.
I also
so what's the next step?
So actually today, the network rack, the wall mount cabinet came, so I got to get that put together, and I got to get the last 2 sheets of insulation put on that end, so that I can put the wood over this wall and then mount the rack up there and everything. So I got the patch panels on the rack here.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's coming along, but I also got the Rode Wireless Go set for wireless mics. They're charging right now, but I got the package that came with the 2 transmitters and
Yep.
one receiver. So I'll be switching to that. So it's coming up.
So you can do a 16.
Yeah.
You can do a 16-hour stream.
Yep, exactly. So Garth has a good point. Looking good, Frank. Got to
Yes, we
come
need
up
a
with a
name.
name for the new space other than the shed. So my wife has been on me about this as well because like I've got to come up with a name. She just keeps calling it the Nerd Shack. So like I need to come up with a real name because once I get the roof thing, I'm going to put a sign in the peak of the roof with a light over it.
Do you happen to have a Chrysler that's as big as a whale?
It already set sail, so like that's no longer there. I know.
Gotcha.
Because it would be a good
because it could be the Love Shack.
That's right. A lot of these computers need a lot of love. That's for sure. So what I'm thinking is we should probably have a name contest.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Especially seeing you're thinking about finally launching your YouTube.
Nerd House, not Shack. She calls it the Nerd House.
Nerd House. Oh, is she watching?
Yeah, she watches the stream. My mother-in-law watches the stream too. From that.
Oh, God love him.
From her house. Yeah.
Hi, Frank's mother-in-law.
Nerd
Hi,
Nest.
Frank's wife.
So that's what we'll do. Well, we'll do a contest, and we'll.
Yes, Ron.
So everybody submit some names, and then we will put them together, and then we'll do like a poll and a voting on them. Nerd Shack.
No, I was going to say you're talking about possibly finally starting your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Appropriately.
Yes.
So maybe this is the one you do once you get it all finished. You do a Nerd Shack walk around.
She texted the hi waving, so she says hi, everybody.
Oh, hi. Maybe you go ahead and get the everything finished, do a walk around video, and then open up a contest for naming it.
Yep. It is. I have a problem with the cameras. It'll get there eventually. And then that'll be the last stream ever once the cameras finally straight. Oh,
it's
my
like
gosh.
that there's an art movie that's like 20 something hours long, and it's literally just zooming in on a spot on the wall. And I'm trying to remember the name of it. Ron probably knows the one I'm talking about. But it's like a black and white art movie. It was like, I think it's 24 hours long. It's like every now and then they'll show it in like an art type, and it's just zooming in on this like wall for 24 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's not my thing.
That's what I imagine.
Oh my gosh.
Good times. Well, yeah, I guess if there's nothing else, guys, thanks for hanging out.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh no.
That's great.
Oh my gosh.
Too soon. Got bombed too soon.
Yeah, there are too many YouTube channels named with the word retro in it. Mine's literally Frodo Jedi. Like nothing else. That's just.
So why don't we call it the Shire?
That's true. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
The Jedi. Well, wait. Where is it? You gotta get something Star Warsy. So you gotta get like a Star Wars name and then the Shire.
Darth Shire.
So like Darth Shire. Sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So like instead of Fix It Felix, Frank will fix it.
Yeah. Frank's fix it. Can he do it? Yes, he can.
Or what I'll do is when I try to fix it, I'll buy 3 other things that I need to fix it.
Yeah.
Like the Mac that I needed a CD drive, so just buy another 2 Macs that have a CD drive. Shire, damn it. The Tatooine Shire.
Shire. Yeah, there you go. The Tatooine Shire.
There you go.
Shire, damn it.
I hate autocorrect. Autocorrect sucks.
Good times.
Yep, Edge is taken. Don't do Edge.
Edge
Shire
is taken.
of Alderaan. There you go. So yeah, keep the names coming. Tantu Shire.
Yeah.
And we'll pick some and we'll do a poll and then we'll do a vote. I think that would be cool. So
All right, guys. Well,
We're
thanks for
about
hanging
at
out with us
the
tonight.
end.
It's been a hoot. We'll be jumping on the Discord server after for the Old World Tech Fridays after hours extravaganza. So we'll hope to see you guys there. And if there's anything you guys want to see us cover, let us know and like and subscribe.
Everybody tell Trina good night.
Yeah. Also going to say before we go, always remember if you need to buy crap for your retro junk, jcm-1.com. Joseph Computer Museum. Good
the
guy.
Amazon of retro.
Also, if you find that you've ever been scammed by anybody in the retro community, I recommend you head over to don'tmesswithretro.com and let us know so we can continue to fight the scourge of scammers in the retro community. And as always, if you're interested in the Naboo, check out the new NabooNetwork.com. So it's NabooNetwork.com, not to be confused with other less reputable NabooNetwork.coms.
That's right.
So with that in mind, remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. We only do this once a week, so you won't get a whole lot from us. And we thank you for joining us this evening. So unless there's anything else in the comments, I think we're good. So let's do the outro.